Ever notice how the people who try hardest to fit in often seem the most uncomfortable in their own skin? It's one of life's cruel ironies. The more desperately you chase conformity, the more it highlights what makes you different. Ralph Waldo Emerson understood this paradox nearly 2 centuries ago. While struggling with the loss of his young son and battling against the religious conformity of his time, he wrote, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." This wasn't some feel-good social media meme. It came from someone who experienced profound alienation for most of his life. Emerson would look at our modern obsession with fitting in, the billion-dollar fashion industry, the constant social media performance, the endless pursuit of trends, and shake his head, not because he was judgmental but because he saw what we're only beginning to realize. What we call belonging is often just conformity, and conformity is the enemy of authenticity. The philosopher who championed self-reliance wasn't trying to promote selfishness. He was warning us that we need to find our own path. And here's the twist that might change everything about how you approach your life. True fulfillment isn't found in the elimination of difference, but in embracing what makes you unique. Emerson would find our modern conformity culture both amusing and disturbing. The man who wrote, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist," would surely see our social media-driven sameness as another flawed system promising acceptance. What Emerson understood is that we've been sold a false bill of goods. We chase belonging like it's a destination, a social state we can permanently achieve if we just follow the right trends, wear the right clothes, or say the right things. But this fundamentally misunderstands both human psychology and life itself. At the core of Emerson's philosophy are several key ideas that flip conventional wisdom on its head. First is self-reliance, not isolation from others, but the courage to trust your own instincts and ideas. Unlike the passive pursuit of approval, self-reliance embraces the discomfort of standing apart. Then there's his concept of the original relation to the universe. The belief that each person has a unique way of seeing and being in the world that shouldn't be sacrificed for conformity. Finally, his understanding of compensation. The idea that every loss or challenge brings with it an equal opportunity for growth. The central problem isn't that acceptance eludes us, it's that we've misconceived what fulfillment actually means. We chase fleeting approval and wonder why we don't feel whole. We suppress our differences and wonder why we feel empty. We avoid standing out and wonder why we stop growing. What if being different isn't something to be fixed at all? What if, as Emerson suggested, your uniqueness is actually your greatest contribution? Perhaps in our obsession with fitting in, we've forgotten what it means to truly belong, not through sameness, but through authentic self-expression. Emerson's insights weren't merely academic musings. They emerged from profound personal suffering. By his mid-30s, he had lost his first wife to tuberculosis, his beloved younger brother to stomach cancer, and his firstborn son to scarlet fever. Rather than being crushed by conventional religious explanations, he forged his own spiritual path, eventually resigning from the ministry and facing social rejection for his unconventional beliefs. In these years of grief and alienation, Emerson produced his most profound work. Rather than being diminished by standing apart, he transformed his outsider status into philosophical gold. "Do not go where the path may lead," he wrote. "Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Stop trying to minimize what makes you different. Instead, ask yourself, what authentic expression am I avoiding?" Identify one aspect of yourself you've been hiding or downplaying, whether a passion, perspective, or personal style, and commit to expressing it this week, not despite its difference but because of it. Write down how this authentic expression might transform you if embraced rather than avoided. Remember Emerson's words, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." The greatness in you is not what makes you the same as everyone else but what makes you uniquely yourself. The tension between conformity and authenticity runs throughout history. The ancient Greeks embraced the concept of arete, personal excellence and living up to one's unique potential, while simultaneously valuing the collective needs of the polis. Contrast this with modern society's mixed messages: be yourself, plastered on merchandise sold to millions, encouraging identicality even while preaching individuality. Today we've commercialized uniqueness. We don't truly value difference. We value marketable, palatable, consumable difference. Stand out but not too much. Be unique just like everyone else. Consider our relationship with social media. We create seemingly individual personas online while following surprisingly uniform trends. Studies show that despite the illusion of self-expression, social media often encourages conformity and increases feelings of inadequacy when we don't fit prevailing norms. Yet we can't stop scrolling, comparing, and adjusting ourselves to fit in. Why? Because we're caught in what Emerson might call the conformity theater, performing individualism rather than living authentically. A 28-year-old artist I spoke with recently exemplifies this modern condition. After years of creating work that faithfully followed popular styles, earning moderate success and social media approval, she found herself deeply unsatisfied. "I followed the belonging playbook perfectly," she told me. "I studied what was trending, adapted my style to match what got attention, and built a decent following. But I feel nothing except the pressure to keep making work that doesn't truly reflect me." Emerson would recognize this immediately as what he warned against in his essay Self-Reliance. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. The virtue in most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. These are people who avoid all difference, seek only approval, and consequently lose their capacity for originality, creativity, or depth. The evidence surrounds us. Anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed, particularly among young people trying desperately to fit in. We have more ways to connect than any humans in history, yet surveys show increasing loneliness. The philosopher who warned against conformity would not be surprised to find that our replacement gods of social approval and trend following have failed to fill the void. How do we escape this conformity trap? Emerson offers a radical alternative, one that doesn't promise constant acceptance but delivers something more valuable: an authentic life embracing both the joy of self-expression and the pain of sometimes standing apart. First, we must reframe our relationship with difference. To be great is to be misunderstood isn't just one of Emerson's most famous quotes. It's the cornerstone of a practical philosophy. When facing social pressure, ask yourself, how might staying true to myself transform me? Rather than seeking escape from the discomfort of being different, look for the growth it enables. Consider how innovative thinkers approach their work. They don't avoid standing out. They deliberately pursue their unique vision, knowing it's the only path to meaningful contribution. The most fulfilling moments in creative work often come not from approval itself but from the authentic expression that might or might not lead to approval. As Emerson wrote, "Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind." This applies beyond creative pursuits. Authentic difference drives all meaningful connection. Real friends don't bond because they're identical. They connect through honest sharing of their unique perspectives. Scientists don't advance knowledge by repeating what's already known. They pursue original questions. The difference itself becomes meaningful when directed towards something worthy. The practice of embracing your uniqueness offers another powerful application. This isn't about rebellion for its own sake but active commitment to authenticity. When facing pressure to conform, try this Emersonian experiment. Ask yourself, can I not only accept this difference but celebrate it as necessary to who I am becoming? This transforms insecurity into confidence. A former corporate lawyer I interviewed described this transformation. Before leaving the firm, I hid my passion for environmental causes, fearing it would mark me as an outsider. During my transition away from corporate law, I learned to find strength in standing for something different. Now, I wouldn't wish my years of conformity on anyone, but I wouldn't trade what standing apart taught me either. It's part of my story now, and I love my story, all of it. In workplaces, Emerson's insights are revolutionary. Rather than seeking the most comfortable fit, pursue work that allows your unique talents to shine. The modern obsession with cultural fit often misses that meaningful contribution isn't about fitting in but bringing something distinct. If it's work worth doing, as Emerson observed, do your work and I shall know you. Even relationships can be transformed through Emerson's lens. Rather than seeking friends who simply make you feel normal, choose connections with those who appreciate your authentic self, differences and all. The only way to have a friend is to be one, Emerson wrote, suggesting that true connection comes from authentic sharing, not from pretending to be like others. Try this exercise. Identify one relationship where you've been hiding aspects of yourself for the sake of keeping the peace. Now imagine revealing more of your authentic self with kindness but without apology. The temporary discomfort might create the conditions for deeper connection. This applies equally to romantic relationships. The modern obsession with finding someone who completes you often leads to disappointment. Emerson would suggest a different criterion. Find someone who gives you the freedom to be fully yourself, who celebrates rather than merely tolerates your uniqueness. See how the masses of men worry themselves into nameless graves, while here and there a great unselfish soul forgets himself into immortality, he observed, highlighting that authenticity matters more than conformity. A couple I counseled had been stuck in a pattern of mutual pretense, each partner performing what they thought the other wanted rather than showing their true selves. When they began practicing what I call Emersonian honesty, revealing their authentic thoughts and feelings with the intention of deeper connection rather than impression management, their relationship initially became more tumultuous but ultimately far stronger. Consider how you spend your free time. How much of it involves genuine self-expression versus following prescribed activities? How much involves genuine interest versus what you think you should enjoy? A simple Emersonian experiment. For 1 month, replace 1 hour of conventional entertainment each day with an activity that genuinely excites you but might seem odd or different to others. Note how this affects your sense of fulfillment. One teacher I interviewed began dedicating his evenings to amateur astronomy instead of watching popular television shows. The first few weeks were hard. I felt like I was missing out on what everyone was talking about, he told me. But after pushing through that resistance, I found myself energized by following my genuine interests. I'm exploring something I truly care about. The satisfaction is completely different from the momentary pleasure of staying current with popular culture. This alternative approach extends to how we relate to technology and social media. Our platforms are often designed to maximize what Emerson would call conformist tendencies, encouraging comparison, imitation, and approval-seeking. An Emersonian approach to technology might involve periodically stepping back, not primarily for digital detox, but to ensure you're using these tools to express your authentic self rather than chasing algorithmic approval. The key throughout is shifting from, "Will this make me more acceptable?" to, "Will this make me more authentically myself?" The first question leads to conformity, the second leads to fulfillment. As Emerson put it, "What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think." This authentic living needn't be aggressively contrarian. It simply means honoring your unique perspective and gifts. It means rejecting the path of least resistance in favor of the path of most integrity. It means understanding that the moments when you feel most alive are rarely the most comfortable or conformist. In practical terms, try implementing what I call the Emerson Authenticity Journal. Each evening, record 3 moments from your day. One where you expressed your authentic self despite potential judgment, one where you conformed unnecessarily, and one where you experienced joy emerging from genuine self-expression. Over time, patterns will emerge that help you distinguish between productive authenticity and mere rebellion. This framework extends even to how we approach aging and mortality. The contemporary obsession with youthful appearance often pressures us to hide signs of aging rather than embracing the unique perspective that comes with time. Emerson, who faced the death of loved ones throughout his life, would likely argue that a life measured by authenticity matters more than one measured by conformity to temporal standards. "It is time to be old, to take in sail," he wrote, not encouraging resignation but suggesting that each stage of life offers its own authentic expression. One elder community organizer I interviewed observed that her most effective colleagues were those who had stopped trying to fit conventional expectations of what activism should look like. "Nobody wishes they'd spent more time hiding their true nature," she told me. "They wish they'd had the courage to live more authentically, even when it made them stand out." The paradox at the heart of Emerson's philosophy is that by abandoning the direct pursuit of acceptance, we often find something better. A sense of purpose so compelling that both the joy of connection and the pain of occasional alienation become integral parts of a life fully embraced. As he wrote in one of his most powerful passages, "Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles." So where does this leave us? If the direct pursuit of fitting in leads to its opposite, and if difference is not just inevitable but potentially valuable, how should we live? Emerson's answer is both challenging and liberating. Create your own path. After challenging the conformity of institutional religion, he wasn't advocating isolation but warning that we could no longer rely on external formulas for authenticity. The responsibility falls to each of us to determine what makes our lives worthwhile. Insist on yourself, never imitate, he urged. This profound insight suggests that authenticity trumps conformity, that humans find greater fulfillment when expressing their unique nature rather than suppressing it to fit in. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, later developed therapeutic approaches emphasizing that meaning comes not from conformity but from affirming one's distinct humanity even in the most dehumanizing circumstances. The courage this requires shouldn't be underestimated. It's far easier to follow conventional paths, to pursue what others define as success, to seek approval rather than authenticity. But as Emerson reminds us, whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. This nonconformity means taking responsibility for expressing your unique value regardless of circumstances. It means recognizing that belonging isn't something you find by becoming like others. It's something you create by offering your authentic self to the world. And paradoxically, it's in this authentic expression that moments of genuine connection emerge. Not the shallow belonging of conformity but the profound satisfaction of being truly seen for who you are. Consider implementing these Emersonian practices in your daily life. Practice the inner voice experiment. Before making any important decision, quiet external influences and ask what your authentic self desires. This helps distinguish between actions that merely avoid judgment and those that express your true nature. Seek meaningful difference rather than comfortable sameness. Identify one area where you've been conforming unnecessarily and deliberately express your authentic perspective, not for rebellion's sake but because it offers truth. Transform how you talk about standing out. Replace "why can't I just fit in?" with "how is my difference serving a greater purpose?" This subtle shift activates your creative response to being different rather than fostering insecurity. Cultivate passionate individuality. Emerson valued distinct perspectives over mass agreement. Find causes, projects, or expressions worthy of your authentic voice, things you care about deeply enough that you're willing to stand apart for them. Create daily moments of authentic expression. Each morning, consciously commit to one act of genuine self-expression, however small. As Emerson wrote, "The reward of a thing well done is having done it." Today, identify one aspect of yourself you've been downplaying or hiding. Now try Emerson's self-reliance experiment. Can you not only accept this aspect but embrace it as essential to your story? Write down 3 ways this authentic expression might enrich your life or the lives of others if fully embraced. Then identify one creative way to express it, not to win approval but to honor your authentic self. Remember, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. If any of this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's one thing about yourself that you've been hiding or downplaying? How could embracing that difference make a difference in your life? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation. And if you're ready to take the next step in living more authentically, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Keep being true to yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.